Leave. Why you do this? He's trying to take over the show, that little rascal. What is up, guys? Kyle over here from Web Dev Simplified, and I'm here to make the web easier than it's supposed to be, just like talking to your friends or your mom. That's not what he says.
Welcome back to Web Dev Simplified. My name's Kyle, and my job is to simplify the web for you. So if that sounds interesting,
I was close. Take a look right here. What we're gonna do is create this simple page with different sections, and basically the nav is gonna update depending on which section you are on. So it's gonna do a squiggly and wiggly. Now the cool part about this is we're gonna use something new in JavaScript. We're not gonna be using the scroll events. Nobody likes that. Get out of here. We're gonna use the hidden ninjutsu secrets in the books of the ninjas. Naruto! Also, if you want to see more JavaScript tutorials, make sure to write it in the comments down below and I'll make sure to delete it. Let's get into the episode. Okay, so let's get started now. This is really not that hard to make. I kind of accidentally stumbled upon this by luck. I was just messing around with something, so it's really not that difficult. I would say it's like 20% luck, 50% skill, 40% concentrated power and will. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I just have a HTML here, a style.css, and an app.js. Okay, just some basic margin removals, yada yada, the classical stuff that we do. Okay, so everything is empty. And let's open this up and see what we have. So I'm gonna hit open live server. It's popping up on this screen. It's there, don't worry. And let's just add a bit of code. Let me open this back up. Okay, good. So what we're gonna do is just create a super simple nav. What we're gonna do is just create a header here, header like this. And we're gonna create a nav inside here with a h1 of dev ed. And then I'm gonna do a UL with an LI. Woo! Okay, and here what I'm gonna do is just say home, project, and like contact or something. Home, project, contact. Okay, and there's one additional thing I'm gonna add here. I'm gonna go here to the A tag and I'm gonna say data dash, like that, page. Okay, and here I'm gonna say home again, and then we're gonna copy this over, and we're just gonna add projects, and we're gonna do contact. So why am I doing this? Why am I adding this weird thing here? Well, because what we're gonna do down here is we're gonna create sections, and those sections are gonna have a class of home, project, and contact. And that way I can kind of sync everything up. So if I'm on the home page, I know that I can activate the home link up here, right? It's kind of the same name. So I have a reference. So you're gonna see what I mean in just a bit. So here, I'm just gonna create a main tag. And in here, we're gonna create 3 sections. I'm gonna say section, let's do, how do you do it? Section dot home, like this. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just gonna add home here, and then we're gonna duplicate this 10 more times. Actually, 2 more times, I'm joking. Okay, and this is gonna be projects. You can copy everything from up here. Let's do project here. And project, and contact. Okay, and here, what I'm also gonna do is add a data, and this is gonna be called index. And you're gonna see where this is gonna come in handy. It's gonna come in handy when we're gonna change the gradient color on the button to correspond the color of the section. So here we're just gonna say 0, and we're gonna say 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2, actually no, 3. Okay. Let's change this to contact and this one to projects. Perfect. Save, and we are done. That's it. Let's take a look at what we have. Wow. Okay. Amazing. So let's add some CSS to this to make it look pretty. What I'm gonna do is just grab the header. Do you want to see what I'm doing? All right, let me stick it there. Yeah, baby. This doesn't work every time. Okay, header. So here's what I want to do. I want to grab the header. I'm just going to add a box shadow to it. This is going to be 0 pixels on the X, Y, on the X, 3 pixels on the Y, and 10 pixel blur. I'm going to just do an RGBA. I'm going to say black, black, black. Okay. And then this one is going to be the opacity, okay, the alpha. So I'm going to say 0.3. I don't want this to be that intense because this is super intense. We want a bit of intense. Okay. Next up, we're going to make this position sticky. Sticky yicky. Position sticky. So when we scroll down, this is going to be still visible on top. Okay, top is going to be 0. This is going to activate the whole thing because position sticky doesn't work without it. And finally, I'm just going to add a background. Let's do white. Yeah, let's just keep it like this. Okay, so now let's kind of mess around with the nav. I'm going to grab the nav. I'm going to add a min height of 10 VH. Let's add a margin of auto. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to make the width a bit smaller so they're not too congested together there. Display flex, your average flexology here. That's not a word. Align items, center, and then finally justify content, space between. There we go. So as you can see, I added space between. If I wouldn't have this width and margin, this would be stuck there at the end. And that's not what I want in life. What I want is happiness. Header H1, let's grab the UL as well, so both of them. I'm just gonna add a font size to these, 1.5 rem. Okay. Next up, I'm gonna grab the nav H1 and the nav UL. Actually, wait, this is the same thing. Let's do nav UL. Let's do nav H1. Okay, that, and just add a flex one to each. Okay, there we go. So now I can display flex my UL. We can say nav UL, list style. Let's get rid of that crap. List style none. Then we can say display flex and justify content space between. Boom. Okay, nav A, color black, and let's get rid of that text decoration none. Okay, we are almost there. Just like 2 more lines of code, I promise. We grab the section, and this is just gonna have a min height of 100 VH, just so we have some space going on here. A display flex, justify content space, blah, blah, blah. Center, line items, center. Okay, and let's make this bigger. Section H2, font size, 5 rem. Ooh, so nice. And color is gonna be white. But now we cannot see. So let's add some background colors. Okay, I did one from UI. What was it called? UI gradient? UI gradient, and I copied the first 3. Oh no, they change. Oh, all right. You can use your own. So let me copy those over because I had it here. Basically, what I did was I went to each one of them and home, project, and contact, and I added a linear gradient like this. Let me make this bigger for you to see. A linear gradient to right top, and just added the corresponding colors that I stole from UI gradients. You click here, pam, copied, and you just paste it here. Okay, that's all you need to do. You can do this, come on. Okay, good. So if we hit save now, take a look. Wow, superb colors. Okay, finally, actually, we need to do the thing up here that kind of goes like blah, blah. Oh, that sounds like a rap song. Blah, blah. Okay, so what I'm actually gonna do is create a div that's gonna fly where it wants to fly. So what I'm gonna do is go here back to our index.html, and I'm gonna go up here to the li right here and just gonna create an empty div which is going to be called bubble. I don't know why I named it bubble. You can name it whatever you want. So we can customize this bubble. What I'm going to do is say bubble. I'm going to add a position absolute to it because right now it kind of takes up space here. And I don't want that. I don't want this to take up any space. So when I hit save now, as you can see, it kind of jumps back there. Okay. Position absolute. I'm going to add a z index of -2, so it's behind the text. And for now, I'm just going to copy over one of these background gradients. So let's do the first one. I'm getting lost in my code. All right, let me make more space. There we go. Now we cannot see it because we need a height and width to it. But the cool thing is we're going to do that in JavaScript. So before we do that, I'm just going to add a transition of all. Actually, we'll do this after. Okay, this is all we need. Super simple. 3 lines of code. Okay, let's finally jump into what you came for. Am I still recording? Yes, okay. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to grab the sections. So we're going to say const sections. I'm going to say document.query selector all. I want to select all of them. Make sure you do all. And I'm going to say section. Okay. Next up, we're going to grab the bubble, const bubble, set this equal to document.query selector. This can be a simple one. And just make sure to add the dot. We're going to say bubble. Okay. And finally, what I want to do is just copy over the gradients as well. So const gradients, I'm going to make an array like this. I'm going to add a pair of strings, and I'm just going to copy over everything from here. So from linear gradient all the way to the end, like this, without the dot, the semicolon. Just paste it in here, okay? I'm going to do that to all of them. I did it already. I'm not going to do it again. Let me just paste it in here. Okay, so you just copy over. Let me show you how this looks. Okay, just copy over the gradients. Make sure to add a comma at the end, and you're good. Okay? Make space. Space. Good. Okay, so what we're going to do is, rather than using scroll to kind of figure out where we are on the page, we're going to use something called an intersection observer. Amazing name, I know. And what an intersection observer does is it detects whenever something is on the page. So if I scroll, oh, okay, it detected that this blue part of the page is there. So then you can run a function or you can run certain things to manipulate that. Okay, rather than doing it with scroll, because with scroll, you have a lot more issues. It runs every millisecond, or whatever time you put on it, but it's gonna keep going. The intersection observer is only gonna run once the thing that you want shows up on the, okay, let's move on. You're gonna see. So what I'm gonna do is create the observer, and you can do that with say let observer. And you can set that equal to new intersection observer like that. And this takes 2 parameters. You can do 1, but we're gonna do 2. I'm gonna say nav check. All right, this is a custom function that we're gonna run. And I'm gonna add something called options too. Okay, so what option is, well, you can basically add different parameters to this to kind of detect whenever you want to run a certain thing. So options, like here you can specify like threshold, when it should activate, or what's the root element that it should be looking at, and things of that sort. The only thing we're going to need for this one is the threshold. So basically what I want to do is activate my animation or whatever when we are down 70% of the element that I want to react to. So once it's here, boom, activate. Boom, activate again. All right, boom, boom. That's fun to say. Boom. So you can do that with threshold. Threshold. Is that correct? Threshold. Yeah. I'm going to put 0.7, which is going to mean 70%. 0 is 0%. 1 is 100%. Science. Okay. So we know what we can do in options here. Another thing that we have here is nav check. Okay, so what's happening once we scroll and we reach that threshold, we can run a function. So in this case, we made one nav check. So this is the first parameter. So we can create a function of nav check like this. And here we're going to have something called entries. All right, like this. And what we need to do is kind of loop over these entries. But before we get into this, we have to specify for this observer thing to take a look and to be aware of things popping up on the screen. So you have to explicitly say, hey, make sure you observe the things on my page. You have to say what you want to observe. So to do that, it's super simple actually. Well, we want to observe all of these, right? We want to make sure that all of these sections are detected whenever they come into frame or leave the frame. So what we can do is say sections.forEach. So we can loop over them and say section. For each section, we can run an arrow function here. And I can say observer.observe observe the section. All right, so it's going to observe each section. Okay, so once it observes each section, we get the entries here. All right, so here's where we arrive. And now I want to loop over this again. So I can say entries like this, dot for each entry. All right, so this is the single section on the page. We can run an arrow function again. And here we can just console log entry. Okay, so let's take a look. Do we get anything? Refresh. So once we scroll, as you can see, once I hit that mark, it's gonna run. And it also gives us a lot of cool parameters that we can mess around with, such as is intersecting true, that we're gonna be using. You have bounding client, rectangle, and a lot of different things here. And even the target, so the actual section on the page, and a lot of other cool stuff. So take a look, it already works. It detects whenever the page comes into view. Project, boom. Contact, boom. Okay, so it works. So that's the entry. You have each individual page that you're observing down here. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to get the class name from this entry, because remember, we want to kind of match it up with this. So what we can do is say we can say const class name and set this equal to entry.target.className. That's going to give us console log class name. It's going to give us the class of these sections. So look at that. I'm on home now. Can I zoom in on this? I'm not going to lie, I don't know how to do it. If I scroll down, projects, boom. Scroll down, contact. So it works perfectly. I'm getting the class from each of these sections. Okay, so now what we can do is we can check out the active anchor. So which anchor we are on. And here's the magic. We can say const active anchor, and we can set this equal to document.querySelector, like that. And remember that we had that data that we added. So we can do backticks. Let me make my screen bigger here. Backticks, and then we can do data page like that and set that equal to, I'm gonna do a $sign and curly brackets. And here I can just say class name, and boom, we know which anchor is active. Perfect. So right now, what I also want to do is grab, what do I want to do? Grab the gradient index. And the way we can do that is we can say const gradient index. And here we can get the entry.target.get attribute. All right, we're going to get that 0, 1, 2 that we added to the sections. Get attribute like this. And here I'm just going to pass in data index. Okay. Now the nice thing here is that I don't need to kind of interpolate anything, because whatever entry I'm currently on, this is going to activate. So I'm just going to get the attribute from that automatically. Okay. So can we kind of see how this looks? No, not yet. Just a bit, I promise. What I also want to do is kind of get the positions of this so I can kind of move, also get the height and width of the bubble so it kind of matches the size of this text and this text and this text, because you might have something longer here and you want to make sure that still looks nice. So what we can do is we can grab some coordinates. We can say coords like this, and I can say active anchor dot get bounding client rectangle schmectangle of the job. Okay, so with this we have access to the height, the width, the position, everything of each anchor tag. So now we can kind of break this down. I can say const directions and set this equal to, and I can just say height, and I can say chords.height, comma. I can get the width if I want. This is going to be chords.width. And let's also do top position, chords.top, and left, chords.left. All right, we're almost done. We have everything we need. We just need to kind of get this going. So after this whole bamboozle, the whole directions thing, what we're going to do is we're going to check if our thing is visible or not. So the way we can do that is we can say if our entry dot is intersecting. Remember, we have that of this entry thing, intersecting. Is that correct? That's correct. Then we can grab that bubble and just basically set the properties to it, the height, the width, and everything. So we can say bubble dot style dot set property. Style, why you do this? Set property like this, and I'm gonna say the left property. I'm gonna add a comma and some backticks here, and here I'm gonna interpolate directions dot left pixels like this. All right, I'm gonna give you 2 moments to see kind of what's going on here. So I basically just grab the bubble, grab the style, and set the left property here. And here I'm just interpolating whatever I have in this directions. And I just set directions dot left to the directions left pixel. Okay, so the position of it. Now we can kind of just copy and paste this down here 4 more times. And what we can do is change the top here, and then I'm just going to change this to top here as well. All right, down here we're going to change width, so it has the same width as well. And here we can change the height, and the height as well. Save. Does it work? Huh? Okay, there we go. Refresh. There we go. So it's working nicely. Perfect. But this kind of looks a bit weird right now. It's kind of stuck. Well, we have the size of the text, right? So the width and the height is going to be like this. So now you might be like, hey, I want to add some padding to this. And you're going to find yourself stuck because it's not working. So you're like, hey, let me just add to the height +10 or something. And then you're going to find yourself that it looks like that, and it's not nice. All right, we don't want to do that. Let's take a look at padding. If we add padding to this, to rem, hit save. Refresh. Well, see, it doesn't look that good. So what we can do is we can just do something else. We can just say transform. I want to keep the position of it, and I just want to increase the scale of it by something like 2, and hit save. And now it's going to look fine. Yay, lovely. Okay, let's also make sure that we transition the gradient. So all we have to do is just come down here, and remember we have it from up here, the gradient index. And what I need to do is just basically set it. So I can say, I can copy over this gradient up here, and I can say bubble.style.background and set this equal to the gradients. And here I'm just going to interpolate it with gradient index. And that's it. Hit save. Let's take a look. Does it work? Refresh. There we go. Awesome. Now this is too dark, so the text should probably be white, but hey, it does work. Okay, there we go. So let's also just add a simple transition to this to kind of finish it off. Transition. Let's do all 0.5 second ease and save. Refresh. There we go. All right, thank you so much for watching. Quickly, I want to say, because a lot of people tell me, do more magic tricks. And trust me, I love magic just as much as the next person on the street. But the thing is that a lot of people don't realize that these tricks are very expensive. So I kind of ran out of materials to do tricks with, because you're kind of limited to how many card tricks you can do before you just go crazy or it's super boring. So what I'm planning to do is just gather some money and then just drop and invest in a lot of magic tricks that's gonna hold me for like half a year, and I can include it in every episode. So, more magic is coming soon. Shout out to my course down below if you haven't gotten it yet. It's a HTML and CSS course. We build out fun stuff. Fun stuff, it's family for the family. So click the link below. Let me know how it is. And until next time, I kiss you passionately. Goodbye. Goodbye now.